This is KGW News at noon.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the News at Noon, and we start today's newscast with a live look outside at downtown Portland. This is a look through our Wells Fargo Skycam. A very gray October day, to say the least. With that in mind, we check in with Rod Hill to get things started here. So, Rod, you were off the first part of last week. I was off the back end of the week. We haven't seen each other in a while. The last time we hung out, it was like summertime around here, but that has definitely changed.
Yeah, today's a reminder that this is where we live. Nothing unusual about today's weather as we get into the latter part of October. I will tell you that despite how low the cloud deck has been hanging, that was a very dark look from the Wells Fargo camera, the total rain amounts really haven't been that impressive. We do have a front that's pushing through the valley as we speak, and as that makes its way through in the coming minutes, we'll see, I think, the winds start to taper down somewhat from what they have been today, and also we'll start to see the visibility improve somewhat with the cloud deck lifting up. This map shows you wind gusts, and unfortunately, just because it's windy outside doesn't mean you pick up a gust at all the reporting sites. But you can see a 37-mile-per-hour wind gust in Bend, 28 miles per hour over in Baker City, 23 in Bend. And much of the morning hours, that was one of the big stories I think people have been talking about. Much of the morning hours here in the valley, we have seen also at the coast, south winds between 15 and 30 miles per hour. Again, that's going to be easing somewhat as we go through the afternoon hours and get behind the front. There will still be scattered showers. You can see them lined up offshore from Astoria. Here's a different view of downtown Portland, 51 degrees. Temperature's been holding steady since this morning. We'll be in the mid-50s about 4 p.m. Again, scattered showers this afternoon. The wind starting to fade away a little bit. We had some freezing rain, Drew, up at Timberline earlier this morning, and we'll talk about snow levels coming up in just a bit.
All right, we'll see Rod here in just a few minutes.
We needed them to show up tonight, and we know obviously it's been a tough year for the players and for the fans, but for them staying in the stands and really supporting us is really why we've been able to pull through this game.
The Portland Thorns are on their way to the National Women's Soccer League Championship match. Yesterday at Providence Park, the Thorns kept their title hopes alive by knocking off the San Diego Wave in the semifinals. It was the first match for the Thorns since a league-wide investigation uncovered a toxic culture of abuse within the organization. It led to a shakeup in the Thorns front office and calls for owner Merritt Paulson to sell both the Thorns and the Timbers. KGW's Mike Benner was at Providence Park on Sunday, not only to cover the match, but also to speak with fans.
The scene outside Providence Park more than 2 hours before kickoff against San Diego. The Thorns faithful showing love to the players as they arrive for the big semifinal match.
I hope they can feel it because it's a lot that they've been through and that this whole community's been through, and I hope they feel the love.
That enthusiasm carried over to game time. The atmosphere inside the stadium electric, with a trip to the National Women's Soccer League Championship on the line.
It's important for me to be here for the players. That's what the players said that they wanted. So, I've been a season ticket holder since the first season. So, I've been through the ups and downs with this club.
The downs she's referring to is why there was no telling how many fans would show up Sunday. But in the end, they showed up for their Thorns, and they did so in a big way.
They need our support. They need each other. They need to know that they're loved and valued.
And perhaps that's never been more important than it is right now. Less than 2 weeks removed from Merritt Paulson removing himself as CEO of the Thorns and Timbers, the shakeup at the top of both soccer clubs came after an international law firm released the findings of a months-long investigation into allegations of abuse in the NWSL. The investigation revealed a toxic culture of sexual, emotional, and verbal abuse across the league and within the Thorns organization. Former coach Paul Riley was to blame for a lot of that. But the investigation also showed patterns of misconduct by Merritt Paulson and front office staffers Gavin Wilkinson and Mike Golub, who have since been dismissed.
We as the fans, I think, as a whole are calling for change in ownership, if that's something that we can put pressure on them to do. But the players said, hey, we want you guys here, we want you to support us. So that's what we're here to do. We're certainly not here to support ownership.
That much was clear with all of the for sale signs in the stands. Whether Paulson eventually caves to that public pressure remains to be seen. What is clear is that Sunday was all about supporting the players on the pitch, and it paid off. The Thorns' Crystal Dunn, putting one in the back of the net with mere minutes left in regulation.
We support these players. They've been incredible through a lot of stress and just turmoil.
No doubt about it, the players have been through a lot, but fans suggest to me they too have been through a lot these last few weeks. The Thorns punching their ticket to the NWSL championship game is certainly special for players and fans alike. Reporting at Providence Park, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
It was also a good weekend for lots of local college football fans. Oregon State crushed Colorado 42-9, and the Ducks knocked off UCLA at Autzen Stadium 45-30. Oregon quarterback Bo Nix was the star of that show. 283 yards, 5 touchdowns. With the victory, the Ducks take over first place in the Pac-12 Conference, improving to 6-1 on the season. They're ranked 8th in the latest AP poll, and their next game is this Saturday against Cal. The Blazers are off to a fast start, winning their first 3 games of the NBA season, including yesterday's victory over the Lakers. It's the first time the Blazers have started a season 3-0 since 2011. Damian Lillard followed up his 41-point game against Phoenix on Friday with another 41-point effort against LA. Jeremy Grant, though, had the big basket in this contest. He gave the Blazers a 2-point lead with just 10 seconds to go. And the Blazers held on from there. 106-104 the final score. The Blazers are back home tonight to take on the Nuggets. Tip-off for that one is at 7 o'clock. And our last sports headline here, Major League Baseball down to its final 2 teams this season. The Philadelphia Phillies, behind the home run there from Bryce Harper, won the National League Championship over San Diego yesterday. So they're headed to the World Series. Big clutch 8th inning homer there by Harper. They're going to take on the Houston Astros. The Astros swept the Yankees to earn the American League crown. So game 1 of the World Series between Philly and Houston is set for Friday night in Houston. Our next story this afternoon comes from Eugene, where an 11-year-old girl and her family are getting death threats after she performed during a drag queen storytime event at a local pub. Dozens of people rallied against the event, and about 200 counter-protesters showed up as well. Those demonstrations shut down streets around Old Nick's pub for hours. Police say there were fights, people threw things, at least one person was pepper sprayed, and one person was taken to the hospital. People criticized the event on social media after posts went up saying that the 11-year-old girl would be a featured performer.
You don't see trans story hour, you don't see gay man story hour, lesbian story hour. You just see drag queen story hour. And I believe this is about the sexual citizenship of children they're fighting for.
There's nothing else, nothing nefarious, nothing, the drag queen might do a lip sync number to like a Disney song, but that's kind of the extent of the event.
The girl's family released a statement last Thursday before the event happened, saying the 11-year-old has been performing for several years and that she was excited to be a part of this event. Also over the weekend, a Camas man was found dead on the Pacific Crest Trail. His name was Nicholas Wells. The Hood River County Sheriff's Office says his wife reported him missing Friday night when he didn't come home from a trail run. Search crews wound up finding Wells' body at the bottom of an 80-foot cliff about a mile from the freeway just after 1 o'clock yesterday morning.